What if everything you thought you knew about modern political power was about to be rewritten before your eyes? What if the ancient institution everyone considered purely ceremonial suddenly revealed it still held real authority? And what if you discovered that all it took to reshape British politics was 26 carefully chosen words that would echo through the halls of power for generations to come? This is the story of how constitutional principles, long dormant, could awaken with breathtaking force. Before we continue exploring this fascinating constitutional scenario, if you're enjoying this deep dive into how political systems actually function under pressure, make sure to subscribe for more content that examines the hidden dynamics of government and power structures. Your support helps us create more of these educational explorations that help us understand our political world better. Now, let's imagine a situation where Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in a moment of political frustration, makes comments that are perceived as crossing a long-respected constitutional boundary. In this fictional scenario, the Prime Minister's remarks are interpreted not just as political criticism, but as a personal challenge to the institution of the monarchy itself. This isn't about any specific real events, but rather a thought experiment about constitutional principles and their real-world implications. Within 24 hours of this imagined incident, something remarkable begins to unfold behind the heavily guarded doors of Buckingham Palace. The King calls an emergency meeting, not with Parliament, not with media representatives, but with his most trusted constitutional advisors. The Lord Chamberlain, senior Privy Council members, and Britain's top constitutional legal experts gather for discussions that stretch deep into the night. According to our hypothetical palace insiders, the monarch delivers a statement that surprises everyone present. The Prime Minister has crossed a threshold that no national leader should ever approach. The monarchy must now consider how to protect its dignity and institutional role. Those words, in our scenario, spread rapidly through political networks, and by Tuesday morning, Westminster finds itself in a state of constitutional uncertainty. The King orders a comprehensive constitutional review, a move not seriously contemplated since the abdication crisis of the 1930s. A confidential document titled Operation Sovereign Integrity is drafted, outlining the legal avenues available to the Crown should a sitting Prime Minister be perceived as threatening the monarchy's constitutional position. When our fictional Downing Street officials learn about this development, their initial concern transforms into genuine apprehension about the constitutional implications. One government figure in our scenario captures the mood perfectly. He initiated a conflict he couldn't possibly win under these constitutional circumstances. But in our educational exploration, King Charles isn't finished with his constitutional response. Early Wednesday morning, sealed envelopes are personally delivered to three key constitutional figures: the opposition leader, the House of Commons Speaker, and a senior Supreme Court justice. While the specific contents remain confidential in our hypothetical situation, sources indicate the communication emphasizes the importance of maintaining Britain's constitutional balance. This isn't presented as mere advice, but as a serious constitutional reminder. Within hours, news of these letters becomes public knowledge, and social media platforms light up with discussion. Hashtags including #RoyalResponse and #ConstitutionalBalance gain traction as people express their views about this theoretical constitutional situation. Suddenly, the narrative in our scenario shifts from focusing on the Prime Minister's frustration to examining how the monarchy might reassert its constitutional authority when necessary. Then comes the pivotal moment in our constitutional case study. Wednesday afternoon, the BBC interrupts regular programming with a special news update. Buckingham Palace is releasing an official statement. The King doesn't appear personally, but the language is measured and precise. His Majesty maintains his dedication to national unity and stability. He possesses profound respect for Britain's democratic establishments and anticipates equivalent respect being demonstrated toward the Crown. just 26 words. That single paragraph proves sufficient in our hypothetical exploration. The announcement doesn't specifically name anyone, but such identification isn't necessary for our educational purposes. The implication in our scenario is clear. Show disrespect to the monarchy, and there will be constitutional consequences to consider. Every major news organization in our theoretical timeline characterizes it as the most significant royal constitutional involvement in modern political theory. Political analysts express surprise. Specialists examine the potential implications, and public opinion in our scenario swings towards supporting the monarch's constitutional position. Crowds gather outside Buckingham Palace in our imagined situation, displaying banners that read "Support constitutional stability and protect our institutions." Church bells sound in various communities as expressions of support for maintaining Britain's constitutional framework. But even in traditional labor areas within our hypothetical scenario, citizens express concern about breaching long-standing constitutional conventions. One widely discussed interview captures the sentiment. Policy disagreements are expected in any democracy, but constitutional boundaries must be respected to maintain political stability. Inside the Prime Minister's residence in our fictional account, efforts to manage the situation encountered difficulties. Subsequent media appearances by our hypothetical Starmer only seem to highlight the constitutional complexities of the situation. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage appears on television discussing the importance of constitutional dignity. Respectful conduct demonstrates strength, and maintaining proper constitutional relationships shows institutional strength. The genuine constitutional development in our scenario emerges from within Starmer's own party. Reports surface of intense cabinet discussions. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Ray allegedly emphasizes the importance of maintaining proper constitutional relationships. By Friday, in our theoretical timeline, polling data shows interesting results. A significant portion of respondents support the King's constitutional response, while others question the Prime Minister's continued leadership under these circumstances. Throughout this entire constitutional exercise, King Charles maintains what scholars might call institutional composure. His public engagements focus on routine duties, never directly addressing the constitutional questions, a demonstration of constitutional restraint that some observers suggest strengthens his institutional position. International observers in our hypothetical situation characterize it as an interesting constitutional case study. European publications run headlines like "Constitutional Monarch Communicates" through established channels. By the weekend, the Prime Minister's political standing faces challenges in our scenario. Labor members discuss various approaches to the situation, and party elders express views about maintaining constitutional stability. 1 week after our scenario begins, the monarch summons the Speaker and senior Privy Councillors to Windsor Castle. No photographic documentation, no media presence. Subsequently, the palace issues one brief statement. His Majesty has been informed about current circumstances and remains committed to maintaining constitutional structure. This specific phrasing, maintaining constitutional structure, creates significant discussion in our constitutional studies exercise. Analysts note it uses terminology that constitutional scholars would recognize from historical discussions about monarchical authority. The atmosphere in labor headquarters becomes increasingly focused on resolving the constitutional questions. The party works to address the institutional challenges while maintaining political cohesion. What we're examining here isn't about real political events, but about understanding constitutional theory through hypothetical scenarios. The monarchy, often discussed in academic circles as primarily symbolic, demonstrates in this thought experiment that constitutional powers, while rarely activated, remain part of Britain's governmental framework. This educational exploration raises important constitutional questions. How do parliamentary democracies balance elected authority with constitutional monarchy? What happens when unwritten conventions face theoretical challenges? How do mature political systems navigate constitutional boundaries while preserving stability? As our hypothetical constitutional situation develops, the nation approaches what political scientists might call a procedural examination point. Senior labor figures who previously demonstrated support now consider various constitutional approaches. By Sunday morning, multiple publications discuss the theoretical implications of the situation. Even previously supportive commentators acknowledge the constitutional complexities involved, describing the position as challenging from a constitutional perspective. Meanwhile, public sentiment demonstrates appreciation for constitutional stability. Across communities, people engage in discussions about Britain's constitutional framework. A theoretical survey shows interest in constitutional institutions reaching notable levels. Inside Downing Street, various perspectives emerge about how to handle constitutional questions. Communication focuses on addressing the institutional aspects of the situation. Starmer himself hasn't been seen publicly since his last media engagement addressing the constitutional questions. Insiders report discussions about maintaining constitutional relationships while addressing political concerns. Late Sunday evening, a Labour Party meeting convenes to discuss constitutional principles and political strategy. Leaked details suggest participants express strong views about maintaining proper constitutional conduct while serving political objectives. While constitutional discussions continue, Buckingham Palace maintains its focus on constitutional continuity. The monarch continues with scheduled engagements. No special announcements, no extraordinary measures, simply maintaining the established constitutional order. That procedural consistency demonstrates the strength of established constitutional systems. A reminder that democratic institutions often derive their resilience from their ability to maintain stability during challenging discussions. By Monday morning, reports indicate various perspectives within the Labour Party about constitutional approaches. Different viewpoints emerge about how to balance political goals with constitutional responsibilities. Opposition leaders request information about constitutional procedures, and the response follows established constitutional protocols throughout our educational scenario, demonstrating how democratic systems can address theoretical constitutional questions while preserving their foundational structures. The constitutional questions we're exploring demonstrate how political systems maintain balance during theoretical challenges. The institutional responses in our scenario show how democracies can navigate complex constitutional questions while maintaining institutional integrity and public confidence in their governmental systems. Throughout this entire exploration, what becomes increasingly clear is that constitutional systems possess remarkable resilience. The very structures that might seem rigid or outdated can sometimes demonstrate surprising flexibility and strength when tested by theoretical challenges. The scenario we've examined demonstrates how constitutional principles, when activated, can reshape political realities in ways that few participants could have anticipated when a situation began developing. What makes constitutional studies so fascinating is precisely this dynamic. The way that theoretical principles can suddenly become practical realities when circumstances demand their application. The 26 words that formed the centerpiece of our hypothetical scenario weren't just a statement. They represented the activation of constitutional principles that had remained dormant but never disappeared from Britain's governmental framework. The constitutional balance between elected authority and traditional institutions represents one of the most delicate and fascinating aspects of modern governance. As our scenario developed, we saw how constitutional questions can rapidly transform from academic discussions into practical political considerations with real consequences for governance and political stability. The theoretical framework we've explored demonstrates how political systems can navigate challenging constitutional questions while maintaining their fundamental structures and operational integrity. This exploration of constitutional principles through hypothetical scenarios helps us understand the complex interplay between different branches of government and the constitutional principles that govern their interactions. The constitutional dynamics we've examined reveal how political systems maintain stability even when facing theoretical challenges to their established constitutional order. The resilience of constitutional systems often lies in their ability to adapt while maintaining their core principles and operational frameworks. The scenario demonstrates how constitutional principles can provide stability during periods of political uncertainty and institutional challenge. The constitutional framework we've explored demonstrates how political systems can address theoretical challenges while preserving their foundational structures and maintaining public confidence in their governmental institutions. Disclaimer: this content is purely fictional and created for educational discussion purposes only. It does not represent real events or actual political situations.